Happy holidays. I'm Kathleen Schaefer. When our family started our winery, our focus was, and still is, to make wine for sharing at the table. This comes from generations of stories, recipes, cooking, shared meals, and time spent together. The oldest recipe we have is a gingerbread recipe that was first referenced in a letter by John Schaefer talking about his mother's gingerbread in 1880. The recipe found its way later in the early 1900s to the Schaefer brothers' cookhouses up in the Olympic National Forest. Helen Schaefer in the 1920s started the current tradition of first making it on Thanksgiving and making it frequently through the holidays all the way to Christmas. In the spirit of the 1880s, we're going to cook our gingerbread in an open hearth. We've created a Dutch oven with a cast iron skillet where we're going to place our bundt pan inside. We're going to be using a wooden bowl that was milled at Schaefer Brothers logging camps, probably in the early 1900s. I use fresh ginger for this recipe. You can also use dried, but I use fresh. And I always use fresh nutmeg as well. So this is a Parmesan shredder, but I love it as my go-to for my nutmeg. So we have all of our ingredients here. We have oil. I use grapeseed oil. And then the quantities are all in the email. We have our molasses, and a trick is always to oil the container, and then it'll slip out fairly easily. And I use organic, darkest, richest molasses you can find. Firmly packed brown sugar, and all of our spices, which is the fresh ginger, our nutmeg, ground cloves, and cinnamon. Put that all in together and mix this up. The aroma is amazing, and it speaks of the holidays. It's the pungentness of all these aromatics. To this, we add slowly 2 cups of sifted flour, and I add it in thirds. Now in the instructions, you're going to have the mixer recipes and the oven recipes, the oven temperature, which is going to be 350, and then the mixer instructions. But we have to remember how this was done originally. So all I'm doing is mixing this together fairly well. We're going to be adding our hot water soon, which will bring everything all together. This is a very simple recipe. It's eggless. This is typically a winter recipe. I'm wondering if some of these really simple early recipes didn't have eggs because of the fact that chickens weren't laying eggs in the winter as easily in some of these remote communities. So we're going to take our hot water off of our fire. And it's 1 cup of boiling water, and 2 tablespoons of the boiling water we're going to add to our baking soda. So we're going to add our hot water, mix this well. And this rich, dark batter. I like to use some butter and cocoa with a dark batter rather than flour when you lightly dust your pans. And then we're going to add our baking soda. This gets mixed really well. It'll be a thin batter, and when it cooks, it's going to appear underdone, which is actually the desirable because it's a very moist cake. They used to call them breads, but serve them as desserts. We call them breads and think that they should be served with dinner, but these breads were considered sweets. So we'll pour this into our bundt pan that's been lightly greased with butter and cocoa powder. If you want to hear more recipes and you like this format, let us know. And we have a number of really old savory recipes and other sweets that we would love to share with you if you would like them. I've always been very generous with family recipes, never felt as though we needed to hang on to them. I feel that these recipes were intended to be shared, so I hope you enjoy them. So now this gets put into our open hearth oven to bake for about 30 minutes. So we'll lift the top off, put our bundt pan in there. And we will wait and see. Well, we had success. We have taken the bundt pan out of our Dutch oven and it's cooled, and it cooked for less time than we thought, probably 10 minutes. It's difficult to regulate the heat in the open fire, so when you cook it in your oven and you're able to control that heat, you'll have, it will be the full 25 to 30 minutes. But now what we're going to do is we will take this, our cooled cake, and we will put it onto our plate. And dust it with what we call snow. This can be served with unsweetened whipped cream, and it's whipped really soft. Generally by hand is the best, and then it's not so stiff. So very loosely whipped, plain whipped cream, no sweetener, no vanilla, and then I will set it over here. So now we will have a slice of our gingerbread. Today we're going to be serving it just plain. It smells delicious. So it's chewy and very gingery, lots of spices, and we've paired it with our 2013 Estate Syrah, our Fred. So here goes. It's really lovely. It's a lovely pairing and a unique pairing. We wish you all the best, so cheers to a wonderful holiday season from our family to yours.